The Goldwell Open Air Museum began in 1984 with the creation and installation of a major sculpture by Belgian artist Albert Szukalski, titled The Last Supper, a ghostly interpretation of Christ and his disciples sighted against the backdrop of the expansive Amargosa Valley. To make the life-size ghost figures, Szukalski wrapped live models in fabric soaked in wet plaster and posed them as in the painting The Last Supper by Leonardo Da Vinci. When the plaster set, the model was slipped out, leaving the rigid shroud that surrounded him. With more refining, Szukalski then coated the figures with fiberglass, making them impervious to weather.
See some pictures of this area, it's obvious that this area is really the area for a thing like that, It's well, if you can listen now, it's so darn quiet and so peaceful.
Right.
And at the same time, there's been so many things happening here in such an intensity, almost like a Last Supper. Like 10,000 people passed through here at their Last Supper, and maybe never made it. I don't know. It's necessary in order to speak to the model, in what sense he has to pose, right? So this is Simon, right? It's the end of the table. If Christ is there, it's on his left side. So he's surprised, you can see that, He says, hey, what's the matter, This guy, he hears the news from Simon, So he's also surprised. That's why his hand is up. He says, what, Well, I think that I keep my knees open because, the figure's got to crawl out. I have to create an opening like this, right? To get it out. Otherwise, he'll be here for another couple of 100 years.
What are you doing here? Oh, just washing the cloth. We wash it before we soak it in a plaster filler solution.
Yeah, you gotta open these things to get out of there. Now, Simon tells you what happened at the table at the Last Supper. You hear the news from him, not from Christ. You didn't hear that.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yes, you were paying attention, but there's something else going on in your mind. So he tells you, and you say, hey, what's the big idea, So you look at him, not at the Christ figure. The thing is, you're bigger than that, so you look a little bit down. But here's his face, right? Okay? You keep this way. Adjust that, whatever you want, We're going to drape you in plastic anyway. Lean back, but we put something between it, so your back won't be hurt, all right?
You're the model for this one, huh?
Yes.
All right. How's it make you feel?
Oh, that's one way of getting immortality anyways. So this will be my third figure.
Oh, you've done more of it.
I've done it before. The hardest part is maintaining a pose with the weight of the plaster on you. These things weigh about 100 pounds when they're wet. So.
Wow.
How long do you have to stay there to do it?
About 15 minutes.
No, because
You can't move, and if you move or something, once they get the plaster on, it'll all crack up and ruin the pose. At the same time, you can't let the weight drag you out of position. Then it'll look slunched over or not as good. You want erect figures like what you see out there. They've done this before, and they all ended up being hunched over. They didn't realize what kind of weight they were dealing with.
What do you think of the project here? Do you think it's pretty wild, or you like it? Or?
I like the idea. This land out here mostly resembles what you find in the Middle East and whatnot. It's a good backdrop for it.
Get his arms first there, Jim.
Yeah, this is what's going on here.
Another one?
You can leave your shirt on, right? Yep. Numbers right here. That's all right. Are you sure? Yeah, I could have heard your shirt. No.
That's the way it goes. I don't know.
In fact, it's actually better. I think this is the one
What
from
about
you
your
before.
watch?
Look how skinny it is.
Yeah, give me the watch. Look!
Yeah.
The watch.
The keeper of the time. Stick it in.
So what are you thinking about while you're doing this? Is there something that's going through your head? Are you trying to be true to
I
your...
want to be a star, man. Well, what I'm thinking of is making a good figure. You know, a good aesthetically right, the drapery and everything. You know, it's important. Also, it's a part of the Last Supper. They have a conversation, and I want to get that involved. You know. Sorry, I speak so bad English.
Okay, there you go. Good, buddy.
All right. Okay. Okay. Jim, yo, take the ends, lift them up. Got them?
Got him.
Now, this is my hand. Okay, sit down. Right. This is the thing. All right. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Use your hand. Watch him. It's the guy who told you.
We're doing it now.
Yeah, go ahead. You have time. You have time. You have time. Yeah. See that your hand can get out of here. How's it set, man?
Great.
Wait a minute. No, just keep your foot where it is.
Hey, Doug. Need to rush. Watch your eyes. I'm in.
Can you keep it this way, Doug?
Yes.
All right. Then freeze it.
Do that same thing one more time.
All right. I got you. That's for last time. You got me. Hurry up, man.
Yeah. Back here.
I mean the pot there. You know, it's running stiff. Get out of that. That's good. Get that out. Yes. There. See, this man knows his business. Fantastic. All right, now get this foot loose. Easy. Got one. All right, Jimbo, give him a hand. Maybe we can cut this thing up first.
Yes.
So his hands in here.
Well, you sweated a little this time, Doug. Yeah, well, they were in the same way.
Now, you know,
Okay,
don't feel any resistance.
Yes.
We keep you. You can put your foot
How about you put your hand on my shoulder? And that way I can help you.
and
Well,
just drop down.
I think you'd be better off to just grab my hand and pull so I don't fall backwards in this.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to have to
Slide
slide
out. Easy. Feel any resistance?
Easy does it. Easy does it. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Where's my bandana?
Oh, I'm sorry. Bandana went. And this is the first time that I did something now, after a couple of years, on my own initiative, right here in the United States, that I really enjoy doing what I did, and with a very, very high intensity of doing it. You know, I mean, it's got to be done. I want to do it for the sake of whoever, but I want to do it. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. You know, And this is the exact place, the beautiful place, the quiet place.
Gosh, it was back in 1990, like 92, when I first came to Las Vegas. And I enrolled well, I was working full time, but because I'm one of those overachiever people that have to work full time and do something else, I went to UNLV to start taking some foundational art classes because I had hopes of eventually doing a master's degree in art. And so I ended up in
my drawing class, yeah.
and he was really good. But I was good
Thank you.
too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you sat there and reading the book.
Well,
But I just fell head over heels in love with him like a little schoolgirl.
mhm.
And in 94, I got hired by the Nevada Arts Council to do this project, this national project called Save Outdoor Sculpture. And it was done between the Institute for Historic Preservation, the Smithsonian, and it was a very Washington, D.C. kind of concept. They had no concept what it was going to be once they crossed the Mississippi. And so every state did this project. And in Nevada, they hired two of us, myself and Blanton Owen, who was the state folklorist. And we split the state at Highway 6, going across the middle of the state. I did everything below Highway 6. He did everything above. And, that involved photographing them, filling out their little forms about, what shape is the sculpture in. Well, with Charles, always wanting to be strategic, I said, would you be willing to develop all my film for me? Because he was a photographer and all that. I figured it was a way to spend a little more time with him and talk to him. And, that's how it started.
So when did you two meet Albert?
I met Albert in probably 94. After I found out who owned the property that the sculptures were on. And I reached out to this woman and this was, let's see, in 94, this is when they were setting up the big steel miner and his penguin.
Right, Shorty Harris.
Yeah, so that's why Albert was out there in the summer, because it was like August or whatever. He liked to go out when it was really, really hot.
You see, where I come from, we got 378 days a year with rain and cloudy and cold and whatever. It's no climate to live in.
Right.
So I met him and he was a barrel of monkeys. He really was. I mean, I don't want to call him a wild guy, but he was a very exuberant personality. And I think that's when I started roping you in more, because I needed somebody to help me
Well,
be an Albert Wrangler.
yeah, I mean, I remember in 1996, we had a show at the CAC Gallery, which had moved down to a gallery space on Charleston and near Charleston and Las Vegas Boulevard. And so I was still the gallery director there for that. And Suzanne and I worked with Albert. That's when I first met Albert in 1996.
That's right.
And when we had the show of the artists that were part of Goldwell. And the thing is, Albert put the Last Supper, the original sculpture, out there in 1984, but he had other sculptures. He brought some of his friends from Belgium, people like Dre Peters and Dr. Hugo Heierman and Fred Bervoets and so on, between the years 84 and I guess 94, yeah.
Among the artists that have contributed work to the museum, probably the one who felt most out of place in the desert was Belgian artist Fred Bervoets. His sculpture of Shorty Harris, an early miner in Death Valley, and a penguin has elicited countless questions. Word has it that Bervoets wanted to include in his sculpture an indication of how alien he felt in the Nevada desert. The penguin was the most out-of-place entity the artist could think of to represent his own feelings of displacement under the Mojave sun. A self-portrait then as a penguin in the desert.
A lot has changed since 94 going forward. I mean, when Albert did it, he always wanted it to just be something that people discovered. He didn't want any signage on the pieces, and we have maintained that because he wanted it to be sort of like, people are surprised, what is this? What a nice, strange little thing.
Pretty neat seeing people come out there who don't know it's there. But on top of that, it's the same thing. It's the same excitement when people come out there and they do know it's there. They may have discovered it on the internet, but seeing it on a computer screen and reading about it on a website is still quite a bit different than actually going out there,
Yes,
taking the time, even if you're driving from Las Vegas, which isn't that far. You still are in the desert. You're not in Las Vegas anymore. You're not sitting at your house. You're not sitting in front of your computer screen, virtually experiencing something. You're actually going out there and experiencing it in reality. And that for the first time, you see it when people, they drive up, even if they know it's there, even if they're going there specifically, the excitement is still there and the thrill and the fun and all that. So, like I said, I would completely agree with Albert on that one.
yeah. If places are not identified and preserved, cared for, organization around it, they'll disappear. And I worry about that with Goldwell. I worry about it all the time. Except I'm gonna leave it in Michelle's hands and she's gonna figure it out. Yeah.
What led you to Nevada and Las Vegas area before you even became part of the Goldwell family and this legacy? How did you come to be in Nevada?
My boyfriend, now fiance, is a chef and he got transferred here. We were in Chicago and the owner that he was working for in Chicago owns the Eiffel Tower restaurant here. And so the restaurant in Chicago indirectly shut down because of COVID. And so he looked for some jobs and had the choice between Las Vegas, Miami, or Dubai. And so we were both kind of like, well, Las Vegas it is. And I was more interested in Las Vegas and Miami because it's easier to travel to and from. I need to be transient because I have friends all over and internationally too. And I think that it was a good choice because it's the art scene has proven to be small but mighty.
Resilient.
Resilient. There's a lot of interesting people here. And financially, there's a lot of money in the arts here. Applying for grants, and things like that. It's been an interesting experience in comparison to having lived in Chicago for 16 years.
So, we're so grateful that you've committed and become part of in a leadership role with the Goldwell Museum. And, how does that feel to you as an artist? You also are a contributing sculptor. And let's talk for just a moment about in 2023, the Keep Going sculpture, which is really exciting. It's quite a feat. What was the inspiration behind that? And is that what led you to this leadership role and being part of, kind of continuing this?
Yes, this is what connected me to Goldwell. the idea of the sculpture came from a happenstance sculpture that I created I had a residency at Court Contemporary under Nancy Good in December 2022 into 2023. And that was all about quantum physics and magnets and how and what resistance is. I like went into the residency doing research on resistance and kind of went the science route. And I came down to string theory, and that the solution I came up with was that when looking for resistance, I found the potential for change. So in that research, I literally got down to the quantum level and kind of did discover, but realized that string theory feels really relevant to me and how things exist, and that for the simple fact that all particles in the universe have the properties of waves. So energy is a big deal to me. And the direction that energy is sent, I think, is relevant and very valuable. So I try to be that person to have a lot of energy naturally. So putting my energy in a direction that I think is positive and beneficial to a community is kind of my personal mission. So where the keep going came from is that the shadow, I created a string theory, like kind of a foam string, like string particle that was a wave that I hung from the ceiling at the gallery show. And though as I was light, I hung it from a disco ball rotating thing. So I wanted this subtle rotating string particle hanging from the ceiling. I didn't even think about the shadows of it. But when I was lighting the work around, there were shadows of this string theory, this wavelength particle rotating all over the gallery. So shadows were kind of in the surface of my mind. And also there was a call for work for the former Bullfrog Biennial. And I had a friend that was part of that. So he invited me to be a part of it. I applied for a grant from the Nevada Arts Council, got the grant, got permission, or was accepted into the show. There was a discrepancy with the show. So I worked really hard to figure out, oh, I got a grant to make this artwork. Where am I going to put it? I mean, so that's when I contacted Suzanne. I think I was talking to you. I contacted you through the Instagram, I think. And I asked permission if I could still install the work since I got the grant, and got the thumbs up. So the reason why it's text called Keep Going is because of that, uprooting my life in Chicago. I ran a gallery, I ran an LLC, art curation company. All of that was uprooted because of COVID. So I still had my teaching gig, and when Daniel, my man, asked me to move out here, I was like, okay, well, I'm still my job, so you can go. But it's been difficult to, be so rooted in a big city and then move to what I feel like is a small town, and like starting to meet people and all that good stuff. So Keep Going to me is a reminder that, there are a lot of things in the world that are good to look forward to, so like to keep going is, to me, it was an easy phrase, really. And to do, I've never done a sculpture before that big. So, and in the desert. So I was really considering the placement of it and the fact that the sun is going to be shining on it and that it was going to cast a shadow. So, and then I was thinking about the movement of the sun, and every day, keep going. And so then I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's more about the shadow, because the shadow is moving every day, and the sun and the universe continues to move beyond human beings. So that's kind of where that's coming from. And then naturally I was like, well, if it's more about the shadow, the letters have to be upside down in order the shadow read correctly. So that's why the letters are upside down.
I was instantly touched when I saw that piece.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to throw something on that if I could, because
please.
The thing that really stuck out for me, it's like the last conversation I had with Albert was in January 2000, right before he died. He called me from the hospital, because the woman who owned the land and paid for all of his art exploits called me and said, Albert is really sick. He's in the hospital. What are we going to do with the sculptures? And I said, well, let me talk to Albert. And so he called me, or somebody called me, and he just said, Susan, keep it going. And I thought I heard keep going. And that just made me go, this is meant to be here. And I think it's really special. And, you know, Michelle is, what a gift. She's, she really, in my mind, represents how this is going to go forward when you and I retire, as we have tried several times.
You know, this is what's exciting. And as you're gearing up, getting ready for your 40th anniversary celebration, it's going to be some wonderful days of festivities, from parades to live performances to just so many wonderful things that people need to come out and experience. And if you can't make the celebration, then you just come out, you find a time to visit and experience it all.
View over the valley, I think it's the best any statue can ask for. I have no message. I think the thing in itself is a message, a message. And I can only say and hope that everybody's got a good day every day. That's all. You know, I mean that.
You're invited to the biggest free party in the desert. That's right, we said free. Don't miss Goldwell Open Air Museum's 40th anniversary celebration on Friday, October 18th through Sunday, October 20th. Parade begins at 11 a.m. on Saturday with theatrical performances, musical performances, special anniversary edition event merchandise, and fun, crafts, special guests, more fun, food, art, poetry, and so much more. For more information and to RSVP for special event activities, visit goldwellmuseum.org.
Starstruck, here's a sprinkle of the stardust. Hold your champagne glass and your cigars up. See the guys with mob ties drive the cars up. Bright lights, most nights they buy the bars up. Candy coated Chevy cars on the highway. It's Frankie Baby, it's on and this is my way. Dean Martin at the Sands this Friday. With Sammy Davis, here's a little hint where I stay.